apps, your lawyers won't go crazy. Hopefully, if anybody has any problems with that license, Oracle actually called me up and said, hey, what license are you going to use for this? I said, I don't know, what works for you? They said BSD. We said, okay, great. We'll use BSD, but let me know, because we can offer it under multiple licenses if we need to. The Java doc is extensive for this stuff. We spend a lot of time capturing things in the Java doc. So maybe you're not all bought into Owasp, but you need to know how to write some little function in Java. Like you need to know how to do HTML entity encoding, right? Look in the Java doc here, because we've specified exactly how we do it. And then you can look in the code to actually see how it's implemented. In terms of assurance, I mentioned we've got a big team that's looked at this stuff. We've built apps, we've pen tested them, we've done code review on the whole thing. We've run all the static analysis tools on this. So we've run Fortify and Ounce on this tool. We've also run Find Bugs and PMD on it to verify that it doesn't have those kinds of problems. We're clean on all of those. We got about 600 JUnit test cases, which all pass. We got about 89% coverage, which is actually very good. If you're writing enterprise security controls, I strongly suggest that you build some JUnit test cases to make sure they do what you want. And starting with these wouldn't be a bad idea. You'd probably have to tailor them a little bit, but these have a lot of misuse cases in them that will be very useful in testing your security controls. So even independent of the whole library itself, the test cases for the library might be extremely useful to you. Let's see, what else? I think I covered all that. Oh, it is being used by a number of organizations. Sun in particular has already deployed applications using Owasp. And there's a bunch that I've had private meetings with that I can't talk about, but I'm meeting with a lot of organizations about how they can go about establishing their ESAPI strategy. All right, so I think I've covered the test cases and so on. I'm going to post this presentation on the site. So this is a list of banned Java APIs, things that Owasp replaces with safe versions. So in your work, you might be interested to know what I think the bad Java calls are. And I want to talk just a little bit about some of the cost savings with Owasp. They really are across the whole life cycle. So we're imagining an organization here that's got 1,000 apps. And if you look at the cost savings from requirements all the way through remediation and standards and guidelines, there are cost savings at every stage. I mean, just think about it. Instead of having to teach developers this, you can teach them a small API with 120 methods. Oh, by the way, the whole of Owasp is about 5,000 lines of code. So it's very easy to dig in and analyze and understand and really have some assurance in. So this isn't the biggest project in the world, even though the scope of it is pretty broad. OK, so before I do a couple questions, I want to do one thing here. I want to show the Owasp swing set. So we're producing a demonstration application here that will just show off some of the capabilities of Owasp. And this is available on the website. You can download it and run it in a Java container. But for example, here's one that allows you to accept rich content. This is building on the ESAPI capability. Every one of these has a little tutorial, and then an insecure demo about what can go wrong if you don't do this, and then a secure demo that shows how to do it right using Owasp. And it's usually like a couple of lines of code with Owasp. So in this case, we've got some input here that has a cross-site scripting attack. And when we submit it here, sorry, I'm having a little trouble steering. When we submit this, the request comes back, and we've turned it into safe HTML. And you can see here we've stripped out the script. So this will work on any kind of banged up HTML that you want to put in here. We've had a live site testing anti-SAMI for several months where all kinds of researchers have been pouring attacks into it. And it found a very few number of problems, which we did fix. But for the most part, we've been very successful with making sure this is bulletproof. There's a bunch of other exercises here that you can check out. There's, you can see how you log in. It's very simple. I'll go to the secure demo here so you can see the Owasp login. If I'm going to log in here with, you can't see the box. Oh, there, it was way over there. So it's admin, password is written up here. It's look at me01 at. ISAPI enforces a strong password policy. So you have to actually, when you set it up, you have to choose a pretty strong password. You can log in and it tells, we'll print out some of the information about who the current user is. ISAPI tracks your last successful login and last failed login and all that stuff that we invented in Unix in 1950 or something. And now most web applications don't do. But a couple of banks are now starting to do this because it's really a smart thing to do. So ISAPI supports that. We've got a logout function that will log you out. It'll kill your cookie. It'll do the right thing. So why don't I, I've only got a couple minutes left, so why don't I just go to questions. I'd love to know what you're doing internally with your libraries or how you see this being used. Let's talk about it. Yeah, in the back.
Okay. The API, this ES API, do you know if there are some vendor out there that would provide support to a company that want to use it?
Well, yeah, certainly. I mean, it is open source, so any company that does security consulting could do that. Certainly my company would be willing to help you, but I'm not here to really try to push my services. I'm happy to help you if you're interested. That wasn't a shill, by the way, I swear to God. I have two hats, right? I'm the CEO of Aspect, and I'm also the chair of OWASP, so I try very hard to keep those separate, so just so you know.
I have a question regarding the maintainability. I guess that if I would suggest going for a SAPI in our projects, my colleagues would say, okay, is it a stable interface? Will we be doing updates? Will everything not build anymore? Or okay?
It's a fair question. I believe the API at this point is fairly stable, but I'm not going to guarantee that it's not going to change because we're dedicated to getting it right. Until we have more enterprise users who are really integrating this into serious enterprise applications, we need to get that feedback before I can say that we're at permanent decade-long API freeze. I can guarantee that it won't change a lot, but it will change if we find something that we need to change to make it easier for developers to use. We're going to have to do it.
Will you change it before PHP makes its next important change?
That's an excellent question. I don't know. We are tracking different languages with this, and we're not hard over on making the ES API for PHP exactly the same as the ES API for Java, right? There may be some calls in the Java API that just don't make sense in PHP, so it'll be similar, but not exactly the same.
My point was that the languages themselves, for the most part, are not particularly static. So.
Yeah, what are you going to do? I mean, we've already got that problem with Java. ES API is designed for Java 1.4 because many enterprises out there are running 1.4. We do have a version for 1.6, but now we're forking. It's not a lot different, but it's a little bit implementation different. Yeah.
Jeff, how many real-life deployed applications currently use ISAPI?
I have no way of knowing that, actually. How many people are running Linux? I mean, you don't know. Okay. I don't think it's that many. I know that there are at least 10, but I don't know. It could be 100. It could be 11. I don't know. Yeah, in the back there's a couple.
Would you consider having a underlying C library that makes it available to many more languages if they